President Donald Trump is facing a tough re-election, especially in places like Pennsylvania and Arizona. Pennsylvania, Donald Trump is losing by about 3 points. So it's a little bit of a narrow lead for Joe Biden, whereas in Arizona, Biden seems to be leading by about 8 points. And now, well, Trump, it's getting a little bit worse because in those places, Trump's starting to lose to coal miners as well. So how do I know this? Well, the New York Times did a deep dive into coal country, talked to a couple of people about why Trump is losing them, not necessarily to Biden, but just losing them overall. And that's really interesting. Now, this is despite Donald Trump bending over backwards for coal miners. In fact, one miner who worked at the Kenta coal mine in Arizona, which is closing down, a man named Alvin Long, 61 years old, so he's been working at these coal mines for some time, said, quote, "We really thought we had a chance to keep it going when we voted for Trump, but I don't care to listen to him anymore." Really, I don't care to listen to him anymore. All of his promises, he says, went down the drain. He remarked before adding that he has been voting for Republicans, including Trump, since the 70s, but no more. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to vote for Biden, but he ain't voting for Donald Trump. Now, union worker, or I'm sorry, the former president of the United Mine Workers of America in Arizona, a woman by the name of Marie Justice, said about Trump, quote, "We were lied to. Every time we turn around, they kept telling us coal miners they would save our jobs. That is what we heard from Trump, but the mines keep closing." Interesting. Very interesting. All right, so look, in reality, I'm actually going to give Donald Trump, well, I'm not going to go after Donald Trump on this specifically, other than the fact that, of course, he lied. Because really, there's no way to save the coal industry. It's dying. There's nothing that Donald Trump could do or ever do to save coal. It's being replaced. It's already been replaced a lot by natural gas, which is cheaper. In fact, Foreign Policy stated that, Foreign Policy magazine states that natural gas is today the biggest single source of fuel for America's power plants. Coal is an industry you cannot save. It's dead. It's dead. And according to Peter Schulman, historian at Case Western Reserve University, the president never had a chance at being successful, and that he was only just looking for votes in the short term, so he's pandering. All right, well, that makes sense. Trump's pledges to coal miners were rhetorical appeals to hardworking blue-collar Americans, like when Nixon put a hard hat after a meeting with labor union leaders back in the 70s. There was no policy Trump could have implemented that would have changed this situation with coal. And since it can't be saved, the question is, and this should be taken up by all of our politicians, how do you cushion the blow for workers? Now, I care about the workers. Yeah, I don't really care that coal itself is being shut down. I think it's good for the environment that it gets shut down. But what do you do with the workers? Well, these workers got to have something, okay? And I think we need to make sure that coal miners have jobs with equivalent pay and benefits to what they had before, or perhaps better, okay? Now, that would involve having a plan to help transfer them to other industries while allowing them to still take care of their families, in ways where they don't have to spend years and years training for something new as well. I mean, that's why I think free education and healthcare is important, to help people who can retrain do so, or even like generous retirement benefits, things like that. Or even give them something. We got to do something for people, okay? It's not their fault their industry is dying. Now, unfortunately, neither party, at least neither candidate, wants to really do anything about that. Joe Biden just told them to learn how to code. As if, that's going to help the 61-year-old mine worker who's got 4 years to retirement and who is now unemployed. Yeah, that's not going to really help him. Oh, go ahead and learn to code. No, tone deaf. 100% tone deaf. And, of course, Donald Trump hasn't done anything except for reward lobbyists and coal executives. coal mine owners. So he's not really doing anything to help. In fact, Trump's plan was to stock his administration with executives from the coal companies and, take money from lobbyists, take money from the industries, eliminate regulations, and, of course, try to intervene personally in some of these coal mine closures and to try to prop them up with the government, which, unfortunately, doesn't work and only helps the people at the top, not the actual coal miners. These mines, simply put, are closing because there's no demand for it anymore. It's more expensive than natural gas, and when you factor in climate change, way more expensive than solar and wind. And I feel bad for the workers. I really do. Okay? If you voted for Trump and you did so because it's like, man, he's trying to save my job. I get it. I do. I totally understand that. I still think it was dumb to believe him because he's a con man. But what else do you do when Hillary Clinton comes to your state and says, I'm going to shut down coal. I'm going to eliminate your job. All right. I get it. I mean, if you're not going to explain how you're going to, shut down this industry that is doing massive damage to the environment, but if you're not going to explain how you're going to take care of the workers and their families, and you just say, ha ha, I shut down your job, you're not going to get any votes. And I remember criticizing Hillary Clinton, and I remember a lot of lefties criticizing Hillary Clinton for that back in 2016. It was a dumbass move. Whatever political consultant that came up with that needs to get fired or needed to get fired. And apparently they ended up getting a job on Joe Biden's campaign with that whole you should learn to code thing. It's dumb. Super dumb. Super dumb. All right. That said, everybody knows coal is dead. It ain't coming back. And again, it's super good for the environment. I'm actually really glad. But understand that nobody seems to be talking about the human cost of, getting rid of these coal jobs, what these people are actually going to end up doing. And again, I know there's a bigger cost to climate change, but again, this is why we need big, bold proposals like the Green New Deal. Millions of jobs would be created, brand new industries, and it would be environmentally sound. It's just good policy overall. Good policy and a real no-brainer. And unfortunately, we don't have any candidate who's going to do that. We do have one candidate who's going to pander and lie to these people because he can't deliver, and he knows it, and another who won't go far enough to ensure the workers can get retrained and put in better jobs. He will not commit to a Green New Deal. And so, they're stuck. These workers are stuck, and they're pissed off. And they should be. And we should absolutely understand where they're coming from, even if we don't agree with them politically in a lot of these cases. Politicians have to be much, much better at being able to appeal to people and, working class people. And they're just not. The Democratic Party is terrible when it comes to working class, at least messaging to working class voters. And people like Donald Trump are just absolute grifters. And so here we are, we're stuck. And yes, there are some Trump voters that are starting to see the light and say, oh man, it turns out that this guy from New York who ran a bunch of shady businesses that shut down and even a shady ass college has screwed me over too. I never would have seen it coming. Well, maybe you should have. And maybe that's also the fault of the media for not focusing on that and not talking about how, who Donald Trump really is. That's what it is. I don't know. Either way, it's a disaster for these workers, but it's also going to translate into a political disaster for Donald Trump. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.